Hey guys, it's Merce. Welcome back to Harpies in the Trees, where I review horror books with a supernatural focus. I hope you guys are doing well this week. I got a little caught up in doing a creepy read. I decided I wanted to do another one. I really do enjoy reading them, and I came across a short story in the local haunts. I know some of you have this book too. So I found a story in here by D.L. Tillery, and it was just everything about it was just gonna work really well. The length was perfect, the theme was good, and the story was atmospheric, and it was just had this like really cool haunted house vibe. So I wanted to do a reading of that and layer on some ambiance and Foley and some visuals with editing. So if you want to check that out, I recommend headphones for this. You want to hear all of the little creepy noises that are going on. A few days ago, I finished Sweetheart, Sweetheart by Bernard Tayor. And I really wanted to pair this with another book, but instead I thought about pairing it with a film. So today we're going to talk about Sweetheart, Sweetheart and the film You Should Have Left, which came out last year and stars Kevin Bacon. The reason why I chose this film to pair with this book is because they are both about houses with secrets in the rural countryside. But before we get into the reviews, let's do a few message shoutouts and then we will get into it. Uzi Suicide 666 says, "Crosses fingers, please may I be attacked by a ghost." This comment is about a video that I made where I heard footsteps in my ceiling, which was very unsettling, and just kind of how, I was a little bit unfazed by it, but very intrigued to sort of figure out, what it could be. And that is exactly me. It's like that trope of the girl who wants a boyfriend so bad that she just scares all of them off. That's me, but with a ghost, I'm just like, please, please haunt me, scare me, do something, please, I want it like so bad. I think it's not fun for them. I think the ghosts are just like, it's not fun if you're not really scared. I mean, what's in it for us, Willow of Word says, "I loved Come Forth and Thaw. It has layers of a haunting and deep mystery, but it then grounds the reader to a haunting silence of reality." Absolutely. I do like these stories that have, this kind of intense, disturbing quality, but they are anchored by humanity. And I think that that's very apparent in that story, and it's one of the reasons I think that made it so good. Thank you so much for commenting. I really appreciate it. Now let's get into the book review. Sweetheart, Sweetheart. Our story begins with David, who is living in the United States, but has come over from the UK, and he lives with his girlfriend, Sheila. But during this time that we're meeting David for the first time, he is pondering taking a vacation. He feels like he needs to get away, to relax, and to just be somewhere where it's calm and peaceful. Some of this is prompted by the fact that he hasn't heard from his brother Colin in a while, and that is perturbing him. He talks to Sheila about going back to the UK, but she's not interested in that whatsoever. Her life is in New York City, she's a teacher there, everything is just already set up there for her. So she's really not into the idea, and she's really trying to get him to stay. But it comes to a point where he's like, you know what, I gotta go. And he just books everything without telling her and is pretty much ready to go. And she does eventually come around and she's like, okay, if you have to do this thing, then go. And I'll see you when you get back. He takes a flight, and once it gets into London, he decides that he should probably stop and see his dad, which is a very hard decision for him to make because him and his father are not close at all. And in fact, him and his brother are not that close either. They're actually twin brothers, but they were raised separately. and they only really came back into each other's lives in their adulthood. David makes a decision to see his dad and possibly stay the night and then meet up with Colin at some point. When he gets to his father's house, his father is not excited to see him, not interested in the least. Their conversation is very tense, very empty, and full of silence. However, David's father does tell him his brother is dead. And this sort of blows David's mind because he's like, no one told me, no one wrote me, no one called me. I don't understand. What happened? Where? How? Who? What? And his father doesn't want to give him any answers. However, David did inherit his brother Colin's cottage that he purchased in this little village, that's 2 hours outside of London or something. He can go there and he can stay there and he can take it and do what he wants with it. And that's what David does. And it's when he gets to this house, this beautiful cottage. It's so pretty. It's everything you imagine a English cottage to look like. And he sort of feels kind of good about it, yeah, maybe this cottage thing is going to work out. But his main desire is to find out what happened to his brother. And that's really when the story begins to take off. This book was a Secret Santa gift from Hey Little Thrifter. And she told me that this is one of her favorite or her most favorite ghost stories ever. And it is amazing. I started reading it and then was just sucked into it and could not stop reading it. I think it took me, maybe a day and a half altogether to read it. I just could not stop reading it. And it's those moments where you know that it's real special. What I liked about this story is that it's a slow burn. It starts out already with a mystery from page 1. Just in David and who he is and what he's thinking about, it's already sort of, you see that there's mysteries within this character. And as he's trying to unfold his path that he's going on, it's really awesome because it's there are all these details that are coming in and you're trying to piece them together just as much as he's trying to piece it together. And it's really fun. So it's almost like this mystery / thriller / haunted supernatural kind of a little bit gothic cottagecore story. It's really awesome. I mentioned cottagecore because it has that quaintness, that charmingness, that just peaceful calmness, rural country, chic. It has that in here. It's the whole entire property. It's this facade of placid beauty. The theme to Sweetheart, Sweetheart is love. It's about familial love. It's about romantic love. It's about possessive love. David spends almost all of his time trying to find out what happened to his brother. And nobody wants to give him a straight answer. Everyone is evasive. Everyone in the village, everyone that comes around anywhere. His father is evasive. Everyone is evasive. He can't get any details. He just can't get it. And this is very frustrating for David. And that's also really frustrating, for the reader. Not in a bad way though. It's just kind of because they're being so evasive that there's definitely something juicy around the corner and, hopefully it's gonna pay off. So that's kind of just giving you the thirst, for that. And that happens through probably 2/3 of the book. You're just kind of getting these little tidbits here and there. You're trying to piece the story together. So like I said, it's mostly like a mystery. And it's towards the end of the book really that the truth begins to come out. And all of the skeletons are coming out of the closet and all of the ghosts are revealing themselves, So it's cool. It is definitely a supernatural story. It is really nice because it's like you're reading this story and it just happens to turn into a supernatural story at a certain point. It's written really well. I wouldn't say that it's super scary, but it's very unsettling and kind of disturbing. You get to learn a little bit about certain people And you know, some of their behaviors can seem a bit shocking. This is the only Bernard Tayor book I've ever read, but in this book, it's very well crafted. And the ending is very good. I can't say anything about it. Yeah, I can't say anything about it because then it would just ruin the endings. I can't. But the ending is very good. I gave Sweetheart, Sweetheart 5 stars. If you're looking for a book to read for Valentine's Day or for the month of February, this is very good because, like I said, the theme is love. Our movie starts with Theo waking up from having a horrible nightmare. The nightmare was about his daughter being assaulted in her bed by an unknown man. He gets up, he goes to the bathroom, and he takes some sleeping pills. And he acknowledges that these reoccurring dreams seem to reoccur pretty often. In the morning, he heads over to a film set to see his wife, but he's not able to get onto set because it is a closed set. As he's trying to convince the security guard to let him in because
I'm her husband, for fuck's sake.
We can hear what kind of scene his wife Susanna is making, and it's the moans of simulated sex, and Theo is not pleased about this at all. Afterwards, when he gets to talk with her, he suggests that they go somewhere. They take a vacation. It's something they haven't really done, and Ella would probably really enjoy it. So they book an Airbnb in Wales. They fly over, they bring their daughter, they drive through the tiny village and then 4 miles out until they come to their rental. The house that they have rented is a very modern house with a lot of space, and they are very, very excited about this. Just all the possibilities of relaxing and just having all the room in the world to do it. It's on the first night that Theo experiences something odd in the house. But it's not odd enough to really pique his concern, I guess you could say. Susanna and Ella go for a walk in the woods, and they have a very grown-up conversation. Ella wants to know why people hate her father, and Susanna gives her a very open and honest answer. While they were out walking, Theo went to the village to get some supplies. So he goes to a very tiny grocery store and he picks up a box of stuff, but the store owner is very reluctant to talk. He's not trying to strike up a conversation. He's not giving him answers to anything he's asking. But the one thing he does do is he gives Theo a triangle ruler. And he says, check the angles. Mysterious, but village people, you know, what are you gonna do? So Theo leaves, he gets back to his car. There's a woman waiting there. She says something very weird about the house. He shrugs it off and he heads back home. Once he gets home though, he realizes that Susanna has told Ella about his past. And he becomes very, very upset about this. And he's like, you know, you shouldn't have told her. It's my story. And Susanna's like, you know, well, whatever, she asked me, what do you want me to do? This betrayal prompts Theo to give in to his fears. And he secretly checks Susanna's phone to see if she has any messages from other men. She doesn't, and because he didn't find anything, he feels guilty. So he apologizes to her without telling her really what it's for and just says, you know, I'm so sorry about being a dick this whole entire time. And so it's at this turning point where shit starts getting really, really fucking weird. You Should Have Left is actually an adaptation of a novella by a German author named Daniel Kalman. Du hattest gehen sollen. So like Sweetheart, Sweetheart, we have villagers who are reluctant to talk. You know, they are kind of evasive. They're not really giving a lot of information. It's just this kind of cryptic shit, you know. The thing that I liked about the house in You Should Have Left is, like, I don't really like the modern design of it, but I like the concept where the inside of the house is much larger than the outside of the house. Because you know, once you know that, all bets are off. You know, it can go in any direction. It could be in any reality or alter reality. It can just do what it wants. And so that becomes very fun because you're like, well, where are they going to take this whole entire thing? Even though that was a really cool concept, I don't think that they played it up enough Kevin Bacon's character Theo is obviously a character who is suffering in some way. You know, he doesn't seem to ever be very comfortable with himself. He's not confident about himself. He's not secure with his relationship with his wife. They do bring up his age in the film a lot, because he's significantly older than his wife, like probably 30 years older. But you know, I think they were bringing it up to kind of just add to like his insecurities. Like one of his insecurities are not just his love life and everything, but also his age, which was a bit weird because I think the way that it was being brought up was a little ham-fisted. But it's kind of like building this character about this guy who's just uncomfortable in his skin every single day. His wife, who's played by Amanda Seyfried, I think that's how you say her name. I don't particularly like this actress. I think that her acting is very bland and expressionless. I did like her in Mean Girls, but I don't like her really in anything else that I watch. It's just, I don't know, there's something kind of dead going on there behind the eyes. I just don't get it. So I didn't enjoy her performance. However, the daughter Ella she's so adorable. She's so talented. She's just so cute and stuff, and she seems really concerned and very scared. So she did an amazing job. I really did feel satisfied with the ending because I felt like it made sense and it worked. There are two things that I think would have made this film better. And that was, one, I think it needed to be longer. It needed more time to really play with this house, play with all of its weird attributes. And I feel like, especially in horror, you know, to really tell a great story, it needs some time to breathe and all that kind of stuff. I like it when directors can take their time to tell a story. Also taking into consideration that there are some interesting inspirations for this house. One of them is The Shining, which the author talked about. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea, I think, of the atmosphere I think that he was going for. Well, I can't tell you the other thing because it's sort of the reason why it's happening, so I can't tell you that. Yeah, so I think it should have been longer to explore this house more. We do get to see some of that, but we're not really privy to it, but we do get hints of like where some doors go, and they were kind of cool, but we don't really get to learn much about it. The other thing that I think could have made it a lot better was casting someone else as Susanna. And the reason being is because there was no chemistry, so it was dead. And I think in horror films, a lot of the time, directors are like, we don't really need good actors. We just need hot actors. And honestly, I prefer talent over looks any day of the week. So I think if these two actors had chemistry together, it would have been more substantial. It would have had more depth because I did not care about her character. So there really was no risk. Like, it didn't have a consequence for me if she left or she stayed. So I don't think this was a great film by any means, but I think it was fun. I think it was good for like a Sunday evening movie. Kevin Bacon also starred in a horror film a very long time ago called Stir of Echoes, which I remembered liking a lot. So I think I'm always like excited and interested to see what Kevin Bacon does because he does make a handful of horror films. Oftentimes they're pretty bad, but I think for You Should Have Left, it's a decent one. It's a decent one. Yeah. So I want to rate this, but I want to rate this with 10 stars like IMDb does, and I think I would do 6 out of 10 stars for it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this book and movie review. If this is something that you like, let me know and I'll do more. Thank you so much for spending your evening with me. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. Much appreciation and love to the Blood Crones on Patreon. Thank you so much for supporting me, for supporting this channel. Please take care of yourselves, wear a mask, look out for each other, and I will talk to you next time.